I stood at the window of my penthouse office, watching the city lights flicker to life in the growing dusk. 50 stories below, employees were leaving work for the day, including my father, mother, and sister, though they had no idea they were working in my building. 10 years ago, they'd thrown me out of our family home, calling me useless, a disgrace, a disappointment. Now they work for my company, Nova Technologies, without knowing I was the founder and CEO. The irony wasn't lost on me. Ms. Parker. My assistant Sarah's voice came through the intercom. Everything's set for tomorrow's company-wide meeting. Are you sure about this? I smiled, touching the glass. Yes, it's time they knew. The night they kicked me out was burned into my memory. I was 22, fresh out of college with a degree in computer science, not the law degree they'd wanted me to pursue. What kind of career can you have with computers? My father had sneered. Real success comes from connections, prestige. My sister Diane was the golden child, top of her class at law school, engaged to a senator's son, everything they'd wanted in a daughter. I was the disappointment who spent too much time coding and not enough time networking at country club events. The final straw came when I turned down a position at my father's law firm to work at a tech startup. If you're too good for this family's help, he'd roared, then you're too good for this family. They'd given me an hour to pack. My mother stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me throw clothes into a duffel bag. This is for your own good, Emma, she'd said. Sometimes people need to hit rock bottom before they can succeed. Diane had smirked from behind our mother. Maybe now you'll learn what real life is like instead of playing with computers all day. I left with $200 in my pocket, a laptop, and an idea that would change everything. The startup I joined was working on revolutionary AI technology, but their management was a mess. Within 6 months, they were on the verge of bankruptcy. That's when I saw my opportunity. I approached venture capitalists with a plan to buy out the company and restructure it. They were skeptical at first. I was young, unknown, with no business experience. But my pitch was solid, my understanding of the technology unmatched. I got the funding. By 25, I had turned the failing startup into Nova Technologies, now one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country. But I kept my identity private, operating through a series of holding companies. The public face of Nova was our COO, while I worked behind the scenes. 3 years ago, Nova bought the downtown office building where my father's law firm was struggling to pay rent. Instead of evicting them, I had my HR department offer them positions. My father became our legal counsel. My mother joined as an office manager. Diane, whose prestigious law career had stalled, took a position in our contracts department. I watched them through the building's security cameras sometimes. My father, his hair now more gray than black, hustling through the lobby each morning. My mother organizing office parties, trying to network her way up the corporate ladder. Diane, her designer suits a little less pristine these days, always looking slightly desperate to prove herself. They loved working at Nova. I heard them bragging about it at family events I wasn't invited to, information gathered through the extensive network I'd built over the years. A truly professional environment, my father would say. Finally, a company that recognizes talent, my mother would add. If they only knew that the mysterious CEO they speculated about was the daughter they'd thrown away. Now, standing in my office on the eve of the biggest revelation of my life, I thought about the journey. The nights spent sleeping on friends' couches while coding. The meals skipped to pay for server space. The endless meetings with investors who couldn't see past my age and gender. Sarah knocked softly before entering. The presentation is ready for tomorrow. All employees have been notified of the mandatory meeting. I turned from the window. How many people do we have now? Just over 3,000 in this building alone, she replied. Your family is scheduled to be in the front row. I nodded, picking up a framed photo from my desk, the only personal item in my minimalist office. It showed a much younger me at my college graduation, before everything fell apart. I was smiling, unaware that within months my family would disown me. Miss Parker. Sarah's voice was gentle. Are you having second thoughts? I set the photo down. No, they need to know who they've been working for. Who they threw away. The company meeting tomorrow wasn't just about revealing my identity. We were announcing Nova's latest innovation, an AI system that would revolutionize legal research. The irony was perfect. The daughter they dismissed as useless had created something that would transform their precious legal profession. My phone buzzed. An email from my father, sent to his department head. Looking forward to finally meeting the CEO tomorrow. I have some suggestions about restructuring the legal department. I smiled. He still thought he knew best, still believed his connections and traditional approach were the key to success. Tomorrow would change everything. Sarah handed me a folder. Your speech for tomorrow. Though I suspect you won't need it. 10 years, I mused, taking the folder. 10 years of building this company, of watching them work here without knowing. Tomorrow they'll finally understand what they threw away. But as I looked out over the city again, I realized this wasn't about revenge. It was about showing them, showing everyone, that success doesn't always look the way they expect. Sometimes it comes from the person they least expect, the one they underestimated, the one they call useless. Sarah, I called as she reached the door. Make sure the security team is ready. Tomorrow might get emotional. She nodded, understanding. We both knew that when my family realized who really owned Nova Technologies, who really signed their paychecks, who really controlled their futures, the reaction would be explosive. But I was ready. I hadn't built an empire by being afraid of confrontation. Tomorrow, the daughter they'd thrown away would show them exactly what useless looked like. The company auditorium was packed. 3,000 employees filled every seat, the air buzzing with anticipation. For 10 years, Nova Technologies' CEO had remained a mystery. Today, that would change. I watched through the two-way glass of the preparation room as my family took their places in the front row. My father straightened his tie, probably rehearsing whatever speech he planned to give the CEO about legal department improvements. My mother smoothed her skirt, no doubt planning to mention her many social connections. Diane checked her makeup, likely hoping to finally meet the person who could advance her stalled career. 2 minutes, Sarah murmured, handing me a bottle of water. I took a sip, studying my reflection. Gone was the uncertain 22-year-old they'd thrown out. In her place stood a CEO in a perfectly tailored suit, someone who controlled not just a company, but an empire. The COO took the stage, beginning his introduction. I waited in the wings, listening to him list Nova's achievements, the AI innovations, the market dominance, the revolutionary new legal research system we were announcing today. And now, he said, the moment you've all been waiting for. Please welcome Nova Technologies' founder and CEO. I stepped into the spotlight. The auditorium fell silent. Then I heard it, my mother's sharp gasp, my father's strangled sound of disbelief, Diane's coffee cup hitting the floor. Good morning, I said into the microphone, my voice steady. I'm Emma Parker, though some of you knew me by a different name once. Welcome to my company. The audience erupted in murmurs. Employees who'd worked with me for years were connecting the dots, realizing their mysterious CEO had been among them all along, quietly building something extraordinary. 10 years ago, I continued, I was told I was useless, that my interest in technology was a waste of time, that real success only came through traditional paths and social connections. My father's face had turned ashen. My mother gripped her armrests so tightly her knuckles were white. Those people who dismissed me, they've been working in this building for the past 3 years. In fact, they're sitting right here in the front row. All eyes turned to my family. Recognition dawned on faces throughout the auditorium, the legal counsel, the office manager, the contract specialist who'd spent years trying to network their way to the top. But this isn't about revenge, I said, my voice softening. This is about innovation, about seeing potential where others see nothing, about believing in yourself when no one else does. I clicked a button, and the screens behind me lit up with demonstrations of our new AI legal research system. Today, we're announcing technology that will transform the legal profession. Ironically, it was developed by someone who was told she was wasting her time with computers. The presentation that followed was flawless. The system was revolutionary, capable of analyzing millions of legal documents in seconds, predicting case outcomes with unprecedented accuracy, transforming how law firms operated. My father's face shifted from shock to understanding as he realized that his useless daughter had just made his entire approach to law practice obsolete. When the presentation ended, the applause was thunderous. Employees stood, cheering not just for the innovation, but for the revelation that their CEO had been one of them all along. Security quietly escorted my family to my office. I finished taking questions from excited employees, then made my way upstairs. They were waiting when I walked in, my father pacing, my mother perched on the edge of a chair, Diane staring out the window at the city below. How? My father finally managed. How did you build a multi-billion-dollar company? I finished for him. With the skills you dismissed, the technology you mocked, the determination you tried to break. Emma, my mother started, her voice quavering. We only wanted what was best for me. I sat down behind my desk, my real desk, not the modest workspace they'd seen me using. No, you wanted what looked best to your friends. There's a difference. Diane turned from the window. All this time, you were our boss. Ironic, isn't it? I picked up the graduation photo from my desk. The daughter you threw away ended up signing your paychecks. My father straightened, trying to regain some authority. Now see here, young lady. No, I cut him off. You don't get to play the father card now. You lost that right the night you gave me an hour to pack my life into a duffel bag. I stood up, smoothing my jacket. You're all excellent employees. Your performance reviews are consistently strong. You'll be keeping your jobs, though I suspect the dynamic at family dinners might be a bit different now. You let us stay, my mother whispered. After everything. Like I said, this isn't about revenge. It's about proving that success comes in many forms. Sometimes it comes from the person you least expect. They left my office looking shell-shocked, decades of superiority stripped away by the realization that the daughter they dismissed as useless now controlled their careers. The next few months brought changes they never expected. My father's suggestions for restructuring the legal department gathered dust. Our AI system made them obsolete. My mother's social connections meant nothing in a company where performance mattered more than pedigree. Diane had to accept that her sister, not her law degree, was her best path to advancement. But something else changed too. Slowly, they began to see me, really see me. Not as the disappointing daughter who wouldn't follow their path, but as someone who had built something remarkable on her own terms. Family dinners resumed, though now they were held in my penthouse. The conversations were different, less about status and appearances, more about ideas and innovation. They learned to listen, to see value in different perspectives, to understand that success doesn't always wear a lawyer's suit. I kept my old workspace in the building, sometimes still working alongside employees who now knew I was their CEO. It reminded me of why I built Nova, not to prove my family wrong, but to prove that anyone can succeed if they believe in themselves. The photo on my desk now has company, a new one, taken at last year's company picnic. My family is in it, smiling genuinely this time. We're not perfect, but we're learning. They're learning. And me? I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Running the company that proved useless was just another word for unlimited potential.